Liv, this is Joe. Today I have a dope topic to share as usual. Today I will be talking about energy and why is it important for people to recognize different energies and how to act upon them. Because we people are always governed by energy. It never leaves us, it's a part of us. It has fused together with our spirit. It is important how to act on that energy. So I want to start off with an example. Let's just say you meet somebody for the first time. It might be a date or, somebody you just met on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. And you meet them physically for the first time. Most of the time, when you make eye contact with them or you give them a hug or you shake their hands, you feel some sense of nerves going down your body. Like you feel nervous, like, oh shit, I don't know what this person is thinking of me, and I hope that this person likes me and stuff. That's what you're thinking at that moment. And that's pretty normal because what is happening is that you're not afraid, but you don't know what to expect. It's an uncomfortable feeling because it's so unfamiliar. You've never met that person a day in your life. So because it's so new to you, you feel uncomfortable at that moment. But as you're having a conversation with that person for like 5 to 10 minutes or even like in half an hour, you start to like ease yourself into it. Like it becomes more comfortable. It becomes more easy to talk with that person. You don't stutter as much. You don't look away as much. You just look that person in the eye and you're just having a conversation just like how you would with your coworkers, your friends, your family, your partner, you know? And one thing you should always remember and always ask yourself whenever you meet somebody for the first time, what am I feeling at this moment as I'm having this conversation with this person? Am I feeling agitated? Am I feeling in love? Am I feeling upset? Am I feeling happy? Am I feeling at peace? What are you feeling in that moment? Because sometimes when we meet people, we get distracted by the way they look, the way they dress, the way their hair looks, you know? But one thing you should always ask yourself is, what am I? That should be the first question. You shouldn't even give a fuck about what they look like. Forget that. What am I feeling at the moment I'm having this conversation? At the moment that I'm actually getting comfortable with talking with this person. What am I feeling? Because you can have a 30-minute long conversation with somebody and still feel like, I don't feel okay. Or you can have a 30-minute conversation with somebody and feel like, I feel real comfortable with this person. So you should ask yourself, what am I feeling at the moment I'm having this conversation with this individual I just met? Because that's the first signal on what you're going to experience if you continue this relationship with this person. That's what you're going to experience every single time when you meet with them. If it's a negative feeling, like let's just say you feel agitated whenever you talk with this person, or you feel upset, you feel angry, you feel dominated or whatever, that gives you it gives you a signal on how that person is. That's a characteristic that they carry in their spirit, that if you continue this relationship, you're going to experience that more often. And the question is, do you want to continue this? You should ask yourself that question. And it's vice versa for the person who is having a conversation with you. What is that person feeling as he or she's having the conversation with you? But that's not what you're really thinking about. Like you're so focused on, I'm getting to know this person, and you think that it takes so long to get to know somebody, but that's not true. You can really see a person's character, or you can really know the type of mindset a person has when you have a conversation with them. Just spend some time with them. Just 30-minute conversation, or just spend a whole day. It doesn't necessarily have to be 30 minutes, but just spend some time with them. And you're going to realize that, okay, this person has this as a pattern, or this person, every time when I say this word, he or she acts like this. You can actually study people. It's not difficult to study people. You just have to pay attention. That's all it is. You just have to pay attention. So when you meet somebody for the first time, you should always measure within yourself, what am I feeling at the moment I'm having a conversation with this person? Because based on that, you would know the type of person you will be dealing with in the long run, you know? So that's like an analogy I wanted to give on when you meet somebody for the first time, what do you do? Or what should I do? Should I continue this relationship or not? You know? Some years ago, I used to work at this clothing store, and it was this woman who asked me for this pair of shoes that she was looking for, and she didn't find the pair in the shelves. So what I did, I told her, okay, I'm gonna go back to the storage and I'm gonna look for you if I can find your size. So I went to the storage, couldn't find her size. I told her, like, I'm so sorry, I couldn't find your size. What I can do, I can like call a different franchise and ask them if they have your size. And she was like, oh, thank you very much. That's really nice of you. And stuff like that. So she was like explaining to me like what she needed the shoe for. Like it was like high heels, and she needed, because she was going to a wedding. She had a wedding she had to go to. And after that, we were just talking about just everything. And what I noticed at that moment was, how come, and she even mentioned it. It was before I mentioned it. She said, it feels like I've known you forever. It feels like I've known you for like 10 years. And I said, like, I feel the same way. And we've never met each other a day in our life. She's just somebody I just met at that moment, you know? And what's so funny about it is that we think that just because we haven't seen each other physically, we think that we're so unfamiliar to each other. But one thing we forget, the only thing that we differ from, the only thing that makes us different as people is our experiences and where we grew up, you know, and the way we look. But one thing that always stays the same in the universe is frequency, and the type of energy a person carries, or the type of spirit a person carries with them, you know? And it was until a few years after I met her, I realized that it really doesn't matter if we haven't seen each other for the first time, if we haven't seen each other, if we have never seen each other. But what does matter is the type of spirit she carries, because her spirit was similar to mine. This is the reason why we could, you know, have a conversation with each other as if we have known each other like forever. And that has got everything to do with the type of vibration, the type of frequency you vibrate on. So let's just say you as a person is very kind. You're just a kind, giving type of person, you know? If you meet somebody who has the same spirit, it will feel, and when I say meet, that means like that's the first time you met them. If you meet somebody for the first time with that same spirit, it feels like it's like a brother or a sister from another mother or universe or whatever. But what is happening is that you are part of that family of kindness, of being nice. You belong in that family. People with the same personality, with the same kind of energy, they all belong in the same kind of family. The family of kindness, the family of being nice, the family of being a good friend, for instance, the family of, you know, all of these attributes, those similar attributes, people who have these similar attributes, they all spiritually belong to that same frequency, you know? And then you have people who are angry all of the time. When they carry that kind of energy, they must be surrounded by people who make them angry or who are angry themselves. Because there's no way for a person who's not angry and a person who's angry to get along. How do you get along with somebody who's always angry if you're not angry? It's two opposite energies that are fighting against each other at all times when they meet. You know? And that's because they don't vibrate on the same frequency. They don't vibrate on the same frequency. And it's very important to measure whenever you meet somebody for the first time, what am I feeling at the moment? Do you belong in my family? And when I say family, I mean, do you belong in my range of frequency? Do we share the same spirit? Are we both similar? That's the reason why we have friends. Because we have similar energies. We have similar attributes. You can see yourself in your friend. And you might not look like them physically, but spiritually, you are like identical in a way. You know, this is the reason why we hang out with the people we hang out with, or we get along with the people we get along with, or we are partners with the people we're partners with, you know, or we are in relationship with the people who we are in relationship with. It's because we share something very similar to them, you know. So it's very important to, you know, whenever you meet somebody for the first time, is to measure, what am I feeling at the moment I'm having this conversation with them? Do I want to continue this relationship? Because let's just say you ignore all of the signals and you continue the relationship anyway, and you saw that this person is doing something that you don't like, but you just overlooked it because maybe it's because they're nervous. You're trying to like talk yourself out of it, and then you are actually in relationship with that person. Like in the long haul, in the long run, you will see that that person is doing something to you so fucked up that you just don't tolerate, but because of your because you ignored it the first time, now you are experiencing it on a bigger level. You feel me? So as an example, let's just say you meet somebody for the first time, you have a date with somebody, and he or she is like, damn, you break at the last moment, nearly crushed. Anyway, you meet somebody for the first time and you see this characteristic within them. Like, let's just say your date or that person you just met orders something for you. Like, orders like, I don't know, a milkshake or a drink for you, whatever. And you notice how they talk to the waiter. They talk real disrespectful, like condescending, like, and you ignore that because you think, oh, after all, that person is not talking to me, and I don't feel like I should really, you know, correct him or her on that, because like, who am I to do that? That's what you're thinking. Like, I'm just gonna let this fly. It's not really a big deal. Hey, but you saw this. You were like, what the fuck is happening? Like, why are you talking to this person like this? You know? When you notice that already should give you like a wake-up call for, okay, this person has this characteristic. If that person is capable of doing that to that person, to that waiter, I don't know what he or she might be doing to me. That's what you should be thinking. But let's just say you ignore all of that, and you actually just, you know, continue to be in this relationship with this person. Now, that person is doing something so disrespectful to you, like embarrassing you in public. Like, let's just say you're just hanging out with your friends, your girlfriends and stuff like that, and your partner disrespects you in front of everybody, in front of your friends, their friends. At that moment, you just feel like, what the fuck did you just do to me? You know? And now you feel like a piece of shit because you should have listened to that first signal. That very first time when you met that person, and that person acted like an asshole in front of the waiter, to the waiter. You didn't say anything about it. Now, you're in a relationship with this person, and this is what they did to you. And now you feel stupid. This is the reason why every time when you think about something, and you second guess yourself, you're wrong at that moment. You should never second guess yourself. You should always know that and trust your instinct. You should trust your spirit. You should trust what you're feeling at that moment, because that's the true feeling. That's the true answer to whatever situation you're in, you know? But some people, they just ignore it. And then they find themselves, in fucked up situations. That's because they're disobedient. If you just take the time to listen to your conscious, you listen to your spirit, you can avoid a lot of problems. But if you're trying to rationalize it or brush it away as if it doesn't mean anything, you're going to realize that you made a terrible mistake. It's most of the time after the fact you will realize how much of a mistake you made. And you always tell yourself, like, I knew somewhere I was right, but why did I do this? Why do you want to find out after the fact? Why didn't you realize that at the moment you felt it? You should condition yourself to listen to your spirit, to what you're feeling at the moment. You should listen to that, because that is the true you. Your ego is always trying to talk you out of situations. You should know the difference. We give thanks. You should always recognize who's talking to me at this moment. Is it my ego? Is it my spirit? Your ego is not really who you are. It's your shell. Is very carnal. It only gives a fuck about protecting itself and surviving. It doesn't like to feel uncomfortable. When you are a person who is very insecure, your ego is insecure. You want to stay in that comfort zone of insecurity. But your spirit is not insecure. Your spirit wants to get out of that. Your spirit wants to evolve, wants to do something else. So that is the battle between the ego and the spirit at all times. This is a lifelong process. And you should know who is talking to you at that moment. Whenever you feel insecure, you should know, okay, this is my ego talking to me. Because you're so used to it. You're so comfortable with being insecure to the point where you don't even know what your spirit wants or what your spirit is telling you. You constantly listen to the ego. You constantly want to do things that is going against your spirit. When you do things that is going against your spirit, you always feel very uncomfortable within. Like, let's just say when somebody asks you something and you told them a lie, you lied to them right in their face, you feel this sense of uncomfortability because your ego lied. It's you, because we human beings are a dual being. We have our ego, which is the satanic part of us, our lower self, and we have the God self, our spirit. So we have this dual being living within us, and we should know who to listen to. So you just lie to this person, your spirit feels like, it feels impure. Like, why did you lie to that person? You know that this is the truth. I only operate on truth. This is what your spirit is telling you. I only operate on truth. I shouldn't have told this lie. You feel guilty. You should listen to your spirit at all times. But when you listen to your ego because you feel like you have to defend yourself or you have to stick up for yourself, which is not, you don't have to stick up for yourself. You're okay the way you are. You're fine the way you are. It doesn't matter what anybody says to you. It doesn't do anything to the spirit, because after all, this is a shell. If somebody calls you a whore, if somebody calls you a bitch, if somebody calls you an asshole, what does these words got to do with the true you, your spirit? But we let these words define our entire being. They're just words. Somebody made it up and gave it that kind of meaning. That doesn't have to mean that to you. You should be laughing when somebody cusses you out. Or you should just punch him in the face. But at that moment, you should just know that, okay, this person is coming with that energy. It's not really the word that they said. It's the energy they put behind the word that makes it, it makes you want to, punch him in the face. It's the energy. It's not the word. You should never be fazed by words. They're just words. You should always check what kind of energy is that person coming with. Is that person coming with a positive energy or negative energy? Because that's the only two. Positive or negative. If a person is coming with a negative energy, you should check that person on it. If that person is coming with a positive energy and you know that person don't mean it like that, you shouldn't get offended. Even though it's the same word, it's just a word, but you should know what kind of energy is that person coming with. So that means that whenever somebody cusses you out or whatever, you don't have to answer to that. If that person is coming with as a negative or positive energy, you're basically in control. If a person is coming with a negative energy, you don't necessarily have to punch that person, but you can. You're basically justifying the situation when you punch that person in the face. You're fighting fire with fire. But if that's the right thing to do, it's another thing. I don't think that's the right thing to do. When somebody cusses you out, just uses words to get to you, you shouldn't even respond to that, because it's just words. Words really cannot kill you. You can be an alchemist and change the frequency. Okay, this person is coming with that energy, but that doesn't mean I have to feel that way, because I know, I'm aware, I'm conscious that this is not who I am. I know that my spirit is not in congruence with that word. It's not that word. I know that my spirit is not an asshole. I know that my spirit is not an idiot. I know that my spirit is not a whore. My spirit is not that. So you don't have to get offended when people call you out of your name, because you know that that's not your name. Even your name is not who you are. That's what somebody gave to you. Somebody gave you that word. But that's not who you are. Your spirit doesn't have any name. It doesn't have any personality. Not personality, but it doesn't have any it doesn't have any physical carnal form. It's formless. You can make your spirit to be anything you want it to be, you know? So that was the topic I wanted to share today with you. Thank you for listening. Live.